Jane, you are co-hosted. Let me know when we're live. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Career Lab Wednesday. I am George Miller here every Wednesday, noon to 1 Central Time. I am coming to you from the West Coast, though. So just getting in here under the wire. Welcome, Eric. We're just getting going live here. So this is Career Lab Wednesday, and what I do every week is help people in their career from the standpoint of social and emotional intelligence. So how can soft skills help you improve in your career? And what we're looking at this week is meaningful connections. But before I get into the topic a little more, what I want to set up for everybody is how you can participate. So you can jump in on Zoom. I love that when you do that. That way I can talk to you directly. I can answer questions. Or if you can't do that and you can only come in through the YouTube or LinkedIn Live, you can always type your questions into the comment section. And Jane will get those over to me. I'll do my best to answer those here. So, and again, any question is okay. Anything career related, it doesn't have to be on the topic. You can ask any questions regarding your career. No question too small, no question too big. Sometimes we have people who joining in over several months, helping them to develop in their career. Sometimes we just have a quick question about how to prepare in an interview. So, meaningful connections in your career. As you are developing, one of the things that you'll be finding is that the relationships that you have are really the thing that will carry you through. Making those meaningful connections. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. That you might not always be thinking about. It starts with your interviews. It starts with how you're interacting with your colleagues, with your boss, with your coworkers. Because as you're going through, a lot of people are changing jobs very often these days. And so you're always going to want to have your referral source from where you were before. And so establishing those relationships, I can share a little bit more of the neuroscience behind it in a little bit, but I just wanted to kick off the topic and check in and see if we have any updates from anybody. Welcome everybody. Eric, good to have you on. Is there anything that you want to be checking in on?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find a hidey hole. No,
Gotcha.
not in particular. I do have an update.
Fantastic.
I was not selected for the role.
Okay.
So the feedback that I got was I needed to basically continue to improve my communication skills. So I'm.
Did they say any more about that?
The initial feedback, or more descriptive feedback, was not using or minimizing vocal fillers, and then another one was being more direct in my answers, or I guess being more direct when answering versus, say, beating around the bush or whatnot. So, which I know those are things that I've needed to work on, continue to need to work on apparently. But he did say that he would get me some more feedback potentially. Hopefully I may have to follow up with him to keep that fresh on his mind. But
this is fantastic feedback. I mean, just that you're getting this quality.
Yeah. So, and I definitely appreciate it, especially since it was a pretty quick turnaround, basically about a month or so from applying to knowing the result versus, say, 2-3 months down the road. So.
Okay. Tell me, what was the first thing that I missed? The first thing that you shared, the first piece of feedback.
Just minimizing the use of vocal fillers, I guess, when I'm speaking, presenting. which I know is a problem of mine. So it's something I've been
Minimizing the
trying.
use of what? I'm
Vocal
not.
fillers. So it's like kind of those the kind of short words that you'll say to like fill a space, like yeah, well, this, that, yeah, so
Gotcha.
that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's fantastic feedback. I mean, to get that. So what do you and by the way, I love how this fits in kind of a micro way to the topic of meaningful connections. Because if we're putting it through the SEI framework, basically they're wanting you to have more meaningful connections while you're communicating. Does that kind of land for you, Eric?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just kind of stuff that it's always been a growth opportunity, weakness, whatever you want to call it for me. So I thought I'd been making pretty good progress on it, but apparently not as well as I had thought or hoped. But I could see where that line of thinking would go to continue to work on that to improve making a better connection as I communicate with others.
Do you want to dig in a little bit on this?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it.
Cool. So can you give me an example of when you would be talking that they would be referring to with this feedback?
Yeah, probably the most, see, the first example that, or first instance that popped into mind is the joint meeting that we have with our sister company, so to speak, where we have a joint planning meeting. So I'm presenting to the planner and the rest of the sister company planning group on what the latest is for the products I plan for. So it's not a formal presentation per se, but I'm still, presenting, speaking to a group of people, trying to relay what I need to relay across to them so that everyone's on the same page.
Okay, beautiful. How many people?
So it's on the sister company side, it's say 5 usually on average.
Okay. And in when you're talking with them, how much time have you prepared ahead of time?
Probably maybe an hour or so, just reviewing everything. It's kind of an ongoing preparation. I wouldn't say that I take dedicated time necessarily to prepare for it, or just kind of taking notes and smitterings leading up to that meeting. That's kind of like, okay, I need to make sure to bring this up on Wednesday to communicate in this meeting.
Okay. So there's a lot of approaches that you could take from here. I think one that's going to serve you most and you'll be comfortable with is setting aside time to prepare, to walk yourself through it, literally make note cards, do something like that. Because as you're more prepared for it, it's going to help you relax. And
Right.
the words like and if you notice, as I'm joining in today, I'm joining in so last minute while I'm on vacation. And so it's taking me a moment to get present with myself and to be
Right.
tracking back to last Wednesday and be like, oh, I do this every week. But if you're able to give yourself some time to prepare, that will help. And then in a moment to moment kind of way, when I'm saying or it's an attempt to get grounded.
Right, right,
It's an attempt for me to be present. And if I can learn to do that, one of the things that you'll probably start practicing is speaking slower. And when you're presenting to any size group, there's different personality styles. And so only a few of them would be able to stay with you if you were speaking quickly anyway. So you might as
right,
well give yourself, allow yourself to breathe and to speak slowly. Everybody will get more out of it anyway. But
right, right,
this is a skill. It's not I can't expect anybody who isn't inherently a good public speaker to learn how to be that quickly.
right, right.
Is having there's the two greatest fears on the planet are fear of heights and public speaking.
Yep, yep, exactly, exactly.
So this is awesome, Eric. I'm I mean it sucks you didn't get the role.
Right.
But it's a great educational thing for this, and it's also so doable for you. And it's great that they're telling you exactly what is going on so that you can improve. Sometimes people aren't so lucky to get quality feedback.
Right, right. And that, like I said, that's one of the things I was grateful for, that, they're giving me feedback versus, the usual, you know, blah, 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 you weren't selected, blah, 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 other filler stuff. Best of luck, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, cool. Well, so I'll break this down a little more as, and Eric, is there anything else you want to add?
No, it's funny you talk about the fast talking. I know that's another thing that I have to make sure I'm conscious of, because I do have a tendency to speed up and talk fast. And I've been trying to, as another speaking thing, I've been trying to work on not doing is talking too fast. So, but I definitely think, especially since this is such a high visibility meeting, that putting some dedicated time, I don't know if they'll do note cards, but I think having an outline maybe in notes or something where I can go through and have everything listed out already there and review that beforehand. So there's more structure in place versus just really, I guess, kind of going off the cuff, is really what I was doing. If I'm going to
Okay.
be kind of brutally honest with myself. I mean, there's some preparation, but I mean, really, it was a lot of it was off the cuff. So I think putting some more preparation, I think, will help go a long way.
Oh, that's great. Totally. Whatever works for you in the environment. I mean, what people really care about is if they see you're making an effort and doing whatever you need to do so that they're understanding, that really
Right,
goes a long way. So if you have a page where you've put an outline on there just so you know you're hitting the points that you want to hit with them, that can totally help you take a beat while you're talking.
right.
Um, another this uh for the meeting, if you have a little bit of time to get yourself present and grounded, taking some deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, sorry folks if my internet's a little unstable. And you can take it as deep as you want to doing like kundalini yoga pose to give you more confident and all
Yeah,
sorts of things. But the preparation, the outline, that sounds good. Um And now, Eric, every time I say I'm
Yeah,
thinking
you
about it.
right, right. And it's, and with Toastmasters, I know, we have, there's, a meeting role that tracks all of those for everyone who speaks. So, it's one of those things where when you start to think about it, you notice it more.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the tricks that I do with when I first did a a talk, it was about a 30-minute talk. I said over 130 times. And this was several years ago, and I
Right.
recorded it. And what I did was I went back through and I edited out every single That's how I know it was over 130.
Yeah.
And I did it because I decided I am going to take this word out of my presentations. And I'm going to start with being painfully aware of how many times I say it, and also have the power to literally edit it out. And so that was
Right.
kind of
Right.
empowering. And so then I watched the thing back without me saying all the time. And it was better. And so when I'm catching myself wanting to say or when I say it, I do a little bit of self-soothing, like a little,
Hmm.
on, you can't see my hands, all often press on this acupressure point,
Hmm.
which makes a deeper breath happen in the body.
Hmm.
And so there's little tricks like that. I saw a speaker one time who took his shoes off at the beginning. And he
Huh.
said, I mean, it was not at a corporate event, it was his space,
Yeah.
so he could do it. And he said, I take my shoes off because it helps me feel grounded and I do a better job at this. So
Right.
just
Right.
right there, he had everybody with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing I've gotten into doing, from Ryan Patrick Hunt. Yeah, rehearsals, totally important. Mock interviews. Um, I, totally. I will do a thing where I talk into my phone, and these iPhones are great voice memos, and I'll record myself doing the presentation, the 10-minute meeting beforehand,
Hmm.
and I'll listen to myself, and just that helps a lot, um,
Right.
for me to, yeah. So that's cool, Eric. So you're going to be doing an outline and maybe practicing some self-soothing, deeper breaths, remembering that just talking in front of people is totally terrifying. And so, it's not like a weird thing that,
Right.
uh, you know, makes me a stranger.
No, yeah, I definitely think outlining, doing some actual preparation beforehand, I think will go a long way to kind of helping this chemo. I think that also in general will also help in other instances as well. So,
Totally.
nope, I definitely appreciate the feedback, and I'll keep chugging along to the next internal or external thing if that's how it goes.
Fantastic. Eric, thank you so much for sharing this. I think it can underline for a lot of people the importance of soft skills. As you're developing in your career, you're going to 99% of the time, you're going to be interacting with people, you're going to be presenting in some way or another.
Right.
So learning how to develop this skill of connecting to myself so I can better connect with other people is really important. I've shared this story so many times on here, but it really underlines this point. The presenter came in for coaching. She was good at it, but she hated doing it. She'd spend so many hours making sure she was in good shape. And she was literally thinking about switching career paths because of it. And it was just so painful to do all the preparation. After talking and learning some more about her and her past, kind of how she came to be who she was, what she ultimately ended up doing was noticing what she was feeling, which was primarily fear, while doing presentations in the C-suite. And
Right.
once she learned that the fear wasn't going to go away, and this is a really important point I'm making here, is the fear isn't going to go away. What she was trying to do and why she sought out coaching in the first place was she wanted to fix her fears. She wanted to stop feeling afraid. And once she kind of came to grips with the fact that she wasn't going to stop feeling afraid, that fear is a part of human experience, it's part of how we survived dinosaurs and saber-toothed tigers, and our fear is really our friend and can help guide us instead of being something that I have to get rid of. Once she was able to be present with her fear moment by moment in the C-suite, she then stopped trying to perform for everybody. She was a good performer. Took a lot of hours of preparation, but she was a good performer. But the performance left her empty, left her tired. She would get done with a presentation and have to take a bunch of time off, and it was kind of unsustainable. So once she became friends with her fear, didn't have to perform as much in the meetings, then she used her fear as a guide, and she could see when other people looked concerned, and instead of trying to perform for the concerned person, she would ask, do you have any concerns? And then they start talking, and soon all she's doing is facilitating a conversation about the product that she's well trained in. So Eric, you might, as you're preparing for the next one of these, think about who is in that meeting, and when you're talking, and it's a real pain in the butt if you're on Zoom and you can't see anybody's faces, but if you can see people's faces in person, you can look outside and look to them and see what their faces are telling you. And there's little subtle cues and things. Even stoic analyzers and regulators give little cues, and
Right.
that can be something that you can orient to when you're talking to other people. And that this is a real skill to settle in myself, connect with other people. And that's the thing. This is the heart of a lot of what you hear me talk about with interviewing.
Right.
Is if I'm just trying to impress other people, even if I'm listing off bona fide qualifications that are all true, if I'm doing it from a place of scarcity, like I need to convince you, then it's not going to connect well with you. Certainly not as much as it could. So I hope that's helpful for everybody listening in. And from Allison, I like to use to let the person know I heard them, have something to say, and I need a moment to think before speaking. Ooh, Allison, that's great. So you're using it intentionally, consciously. I intentionally use it in that moment to reserve my space to respond when others are talking over me. Whoa. Otherwise, I feel like I won't get the opportunity to speak. Dang, Allison, that's awesome. That's a great tip there. So if I'm in a meeting, if I'm talking and I'm afraid I'm not going to get in, I can actually just say, like that, to let the person know that I heard them and that I have some, oh my gosh, Allison, that's wonderful. Because then they pause, they know that you have something to say, you haven't said it yet. It's like holding a piece of candy out and being like, are you gonna pay attention to me? That's great. Allison, thanks for sharing that. Oh, cool. Well, and that also gives a reframe for and that it's not actually a bad word. It's just about how it's used, if is even a word. That's great. So Eric, I guess you could do that too. You could just say really slowly and have everybody sitting on the edge of their seat looking
Yeah,
at
I'm
you.
not sure. I don't think I'm that good yet. So where I would, because I feel like I would try that and then I would subconsciously then slip into using unconsciously. Maybe in a future state.
Oh, right on. Right on. Okay, something to build towards. So wonderful. So I'll do a quick room reset and let everybody know I'm going to be signing out a little early today. I'm at a hotel and checkout time is in a half an hour, so I need to go a little earlier today. If you want to jump in directly on Zoom, that's the best way I can communicate with you. If you have any questions, I can talk directly with you. If you can't jump in, if you're watching on LinkedIn Live or YouTube, go ahead and type any questions into the comment section. Jane will send those over. I'll do my best to answer any of those questions that you have. We're talking about making meaningful connections. You know, some people might enjoy it, others don't. I think about a reframe that could be helpful is if I'm going to a networking event, to a work meeting, maybe I'm just going to think about it as, oh, I'm going to go get to know some people. Just that and take the pressure off. I'm going to learn some things about people. I'm going to know people a little more than I did before. And there's some ways that talking with people, you might not know what a gift it is to really be listened to. And it's a skill that any human being can develop, but that there hasn't been a lot of training and education on how to do it. So I'll share a little bit about connecting with other people. You've heard me talking with Eric about connecting to myself first so that I can connect to other people. That's really important. There are people who are great at seeming like they're connecting with you. I think maybe I don't, a little hesitant saying sociopaths, but people who are super smart and pick up on a lot of things and can show interest in you. Eventually, if they're really good at that, but they're not really present themselves, eventually you'll notice it, and it will. I think it's kind of a sad thing. So anyway, I don't know why I went on that tangent, but I just did. When connecting with yourself, you don't have to be perfect. It's more important to most people that you're authentic and sharing what matters to you. And now to get to the listening piece, because you don't even need to share what matters to you. If I can be really present while listening to somebody, that means I'm paying attention to the feelings and the thoughts that I'm having. And I don't have to interject myself when somebody else is talking. I don't have to tell them what I think. I don't have to tell them what they should do. But I can listen and use them and what they're talking about as a mirror, as a reflection for myself, for my spiritual journey. When I'm listening to somebody from that space, they feel it. They know they're being heard in a way that usually feels good. Sometimes people don't like it. Fine. But most of the time, that's really helpful. This is the heart of coaching, by the way, or at least the coaching that I do, and what most coaches I know do. And so it's being present to me and what's happening in my gut, in my heart, what matters to me, while listening to somebody else. And then when I ask a question, like, let's say that I'm at a networking event and somebody's talking about, it was just start with like really simple questions. What brought you here? And as the person is sharing what brought them there, what I'm doing inside is I'm walking with them. And I'm like, what brought me here? And I'm listening to what they're saying. It's like, oh yeah, I relate to that. They just said something that I never even considered about what may or may have not gotten me to be here in this moment talking to this person. And so I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm listening. And as I'm doing that, people will usually share more. And at a certain point, they might start to get to a sort of stuck point. And I might then just invite them and say, oh, wow, tell me more. And that invitation, because a lot of times I think the stuck point might come because people have all sorts of thoughts of like, oh, should I be talking this much? Am I now being selfish in this conversation? Or, whoa, I'm being listened to. And then just a simple invitation to talk more people will usually feel more comfortable to say more things. And this is a real gift to people. We're not trained in really listening and in how nourishing for myself, the person listening, how nourishing that can be. And so if I'm at an event and I'm really just getting to know somebody else, it's a real gift to that person. Most people are wired in such a way that part of how we develop our thoughts is by talking out loud. And so if you can be developing the skill of listening to people, then when you go and talk at a after work party, a networking event, or even if you're doing the interview process and job hunting, and you need to be reaching out to people, asking them about doing informational interviews where you're finding out about what they like about their job, etc., what they don't like, what it's like to work there. This skill of listening, it's quite a gift to people and a gift to yourself. And it really takes the pressure off of you needing to look good and be perfect and do all the right things at a networking event or at a work event or whatever. So a few key things you can do to takeaways from this, I would say, would be to notice what you're feeling. That's usually step number one. And it's fine if it's anxiety. It's fine if you're feeling a little hurt about something. It's fine if you're feeling angry about something. All of that is subtle things are always running inside of us as humans. We always have those three core feelings running in some way, and certainly anxiety. So it's fine if you're feeling anxiety. Then you can start to use that anxiety in the conversation. And you can notice what fears you're having, what anxieties you're having when talking to somebody else. And you can start to see what anxieties they might be having or what things they're working through. So how'd you come to be here tonight? Oh, this is my work had this thing and I thought I should come. And so I'm here. Oh, cool. Which company do you work with? Oh, da 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 da. How did you get into that? Oh, okay. So, I did this in school and then I started developing here and, da da da. Oh, okay. And what are you working on now with that? What is there anybody that you're looking to meet? Thanks, Eric. Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing. That was fantastic. Because what we're talking about today, meaningful connections, that's the skill that for everybody listening in, when you're doing the vicarious learning by listening to what somebody else is sharing, that's a meta way of what we're talking about. So back to at the networking event, what are you working on in your company? Now, right there already, now you're getting to the point, once you've gotten how somebody's come to be at this event, what they're doing here, what are they working on? What's important to them about it? What are they hoping to get from coming to this event? And then you can talk to that person a little more, then move over to another person. If that conversation you can always exit a conversation saying, so good talking with you. I want to meet some more people. Maybe I'll talk to you in a bit. And then as you're doing that, you start to meet more people. And if you can find out why different people at the event are there, then you might get to the point where you can start introducing people. And that's really cool. People tend to be sort of, this whole interacting process is not, it's a skill for a lot of us to develop. So if you can get to the point where you can start making introductions, that's great, because you're doing people a favor. and you're learning a whole lot about people. And you, from this point, may start to become a trusted advisor. It's not really advising at this point, but you're setting yourself up for people to say, wow, George is a connector. He just made an introduction here. I really appreciate that. And okay, great. So I hope that is helpful for everybody listening in today about making meaningful connections, how to do that. There's just some, basic skills that anybody, any human being can develop, whether you're an engineer, in analytics, wherever you're at, any human being has the capability to develop emotional intelligence and soft skills. So I will be signing off here shortly. Thank you, everybody, for jumping into Career Lab Wednesday today. If there's any questions, anything that anybody has before I sign off, let me know. You can type your questions or comments into the comment section, and Jane will get those over to me here on Zoom. So I'll kind of delay a little bit as I'm getting ready to sign off and see if there's any questions that anybody has. If not, blessings, everybody. Have a wonderful mid-July, and I will be back next week. All right, take care, everyone. Oh, before I sign off, actually, we do have an app that we are developing. If you have an Android, I can't make it available yet for iOS users. But if you have an Android and you'd like to check it out, go ahead and download it. Thank you, Jane, for throwing that into the comments there. And check it out. There's no cost to it right now, as you'll see it's very much in beta phase. But there's links to worksheets that are helpful, links to videos that take you through the career development process and the interview process, and some helpful things in there for your resume. So take a look at that, download it if you have an Android. Let us know what you think. Let us know what's helpful about it. There's not a ton of flexibility with this app, but I'm looking to have it be something that being able to jump into Career Lab is, helpful, but I want you to be able to have the skills and just a way to a touch point for yourself when you're preparing for meetings, when you're preparing for your interviews. I want you to have access to that at any point throughout the week. So I'm hoping this app will serve that purpose for you. So take a look at it and let us know what you think. And I will be back next week. Thank you, everybody. And here's to a summer of connecting and getting to know people. Take care. Bye.